Today, we're diving into a really powerful and honestly pretty cautionary story. It's all about that collision between technology and justice, and how a simple login can become a descent into an absolute nightmare. And these are the words of the man at the center of it all, Alberto Hill. He was a cybersecurity expert from Uruguay, a professional who found security flaws and tried to get them fixed. That is, until the very system he was trying to help decided to turn against him. So, to really understand how everything went so wrong, we have to first understand who Alberto Hill actually was. And he wasn't some shadowy criminal. He was a professional, and he had a history, a clear pattern of finding vulnerabilities and reporting them to prevent harm. Just look at this timeline. It shows a really clear pattern of what we call ethical behavior. He helped a medical provider twice. He helped YouTube, a stock exchange. He was consistently finding these dangerous flaws and reporting them. And here's the key part. He never asked for a dime. He never got anything for these reports. He was just trying to help. But then, in September 2017, that entire history of doing the right thing was just ignored. The very same medical provider he had tried to help became the center of a major cybercrime investigation, and Alberto Hill was suddenly their #1 suspect. So how on earth does a pattern of good deeds lead to an arrest? Well, the problem started with the investigation itself. It was just plagued by this profound lack of technical understanding from the authorities, which was then combined with what Hill himself describes as just enormous arrogance. The interrogation, which was led by an officer named Winston Rodriguez, was just full of aggression and threats right from the get-go. It wasn't an investigation. Hill's professional tools, the things he used for his job, were immediately seen as criminal instruments, and he was put under intense psychological pressure. And get this, the prosecution's entire case, the whole thing, rested on one single piece of evidence: an email that supposedly demanded 15 Bitcoin to stop the release of stolen medical records. But here's the thing. This so-called evidence was a joke. It wasn't an original threat, it was a forwarded message, and most importantly, it had no Bitcoin address. There was literally no way for the supposed extortionist to get paid. That makes the entire premise completely useless from a technical standpoint. And this is where the story goes from a really weak case to an absolute catastrophe. This lack of understanding didn't just build a flimsy prosecution. It led to the irreversible destruction of key evidence and a devastating financial loss for Hill. Okay, to really get what happens next, you have to understand this critical difference. With a self-custody wallet, you are your own bank. You and only you control the keys. With a custodial wallet, someone else, like a crypto exchange, holds your keys for you. And trust me, that distinction means everything here. Now, Hill had his personal funds on a Ledger hardware wallet. That's a form of self-custody. It's basically a digital fortress, and it's designed specifically to wipe itself completely clean after 3 wrong PIN attempts. It's a security feature. The only way back in is with a secret recovery phrase that only the owner has. The police, most likely just trying to guess the PIN, triggered that security feature, and in doing so, they permanently destroyed all the data on the device. 27 of Hill's Bitcoins, along with his other crypto assets, were gone. Not stolen, not misplaced, just erased. Forever. And unbelievably, the nightmare wasn't over. It wasn't just his self-custody wallet. Because they mishandled his seized phone, he also lost all the funds he had on a custodial exchange called WEX. You see, his account was protected by two-factor authentication, 2FA. You probably use this yourself. To get in, you need your password and a code from an app on your physical phone. Well, the police had that phone. Hill told them over and over again, "Let me give you my credentials, let's secure these assets." But they refused. And by the time they finally gave him his phone back, 2 years later, the WEX exchange had collapsed. Over $100,000 of his money was just gone. So, this story isn't just about lost data or lost money. This systemic failure, this incompetence, had a truly devastating human cost. I mean, think about this. He was interrogated without a lawyer. He was denied his vital medication for anxiety and ADHD. They threatened him until he gave a false confession.
The police then fed lies to the press, which destroyed his reputation in a massive trial by media. All of this led to him spending 8 months in prison and being left completely financially ruined.
And here's the thing that should really worry all of us. What makes this story so important is that Alberto Hill's case, it's not some weird, isolated incident. No, it actually reveals a much bigger, much more troubling pattern of how our legal systems are completely failing in the digital age. We've seen this playbook before in other big tech-related cases, right? Like with Aaron Swartz or Julian Assange. A legal system confronts technology it doesn't understand, and what does it do? It often responds with totally disproportionate force. It criminalizes the expert and manipulates the public narrative to fit its own story. And this is why all of this matters so much. Technology is moving at lightning speed, and our justice systems have to adapt. We're talking about needing mandatory technical training for law enforcement, standardized rules for handling digital evidence, because without real reform, we risk creating more and more victims, just like Alberto Hill. It really leaves you with a final, pretty heavy thought, doesn't it? When the very tools of justice are wielded with ignorance, does the system actually protect the public, or does it become the very threat it was created to prevent?